Hello, fancy seeing you here. I am going to take you on an all inclusive Backstage Pass all access tour of the 2022 planner. That way, when you get yours, you know exactly how to fill it out without any questions, right? So let's get started. Okay, you're going to get this very flattering angle of my face for the entirety of this, which is lovely for me and you. Okay, so first things first, you are going to want to look at these tabs across the bottom. Let's get our bearings, right? Fill this out first. Pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Every single sheet that we use going across the bottom in order, things that we're putting in the first few sheets are going to populate throughout the rest of them. So don't skip this step and try to start filling things in elsewhere. So let's do this. Really what you're going to do, first things first, you're going to put your name in. If you are using this with a partner, a spouse with whom you share finances, you can put their name in too. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to go through this accounts and assets list. So it's loading a little bit slowly because I'm recording myself, but there we go. You're basically going to use these drop downs that are meant to guide you to pick which accounts you actually have. So let's say I've got an individual checking account and I've got a joint savings account. And let's say I've also got a business checking account. Cool. So we're broken into a few different sections here. So prepare yourself. This list is long. For tax advantaged investing, I've got pretty much every single potential account that you could have. I even have some accounts for Australia and Canada, ones that readers told me they wanted. So you'd pick your accounts. Let's say you've got a traditional 401k and you've got, let's say maybe you've also got a Roth IRA. So we're going to pick that. Come on. There we go. This is really slow. Okay. I promise though, it's only slow because I'm recording myself. I've been using this for the last month and it's not typically slow. So then you're going to go into taxable investing and far fewer choices here, but basically if you've got a brokerage account, you'll put that in too. So you just want to tell the spreadsheet at this phase what accounts you have, where you have money. And if there's anything that you've got that for some reason is not listed here, something really random, maybe you've got $1,000 in cash on your bedside table, wouldn't recommend it, but maybe you do, you would write cash down here. So there's no drop downs, you just fill it in. Same over here. So I've got some examples in there for you, but you'd fill out your credit card. If you've got a Chase Sapphire card that has a rolling balance on it, or you've got a personal loan, student loans, auto loans, mortgages. So, in this instance, I'm putting the address. In this instance, I put the car that the auto loan is for, the name of the student loan, and similar premise. You just want to tell the spreadsheet what debt you have. You don't have to tell it anything about the debt yet, just what there is, right? Okay. And then last, so this is new for 2022. I'm changing the way that we get into the spending. So rather than having you come up with categories or use the ones that I had just populated in the spending sheet, now you've got drop downs per category. So I've set up the broad categories for you. And then basically filled out everything that you could potentially have. So maybe you've got rent, maybe you've got water, maybe you've got electric. You'll go in and you'll enter all those in. Here's Sam's tail. Same with transportation. So any transportation related costs are in this drop down. Car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, what have you. Living expenses, food. So let's look at living expenses, for example. You've got streaming services, phone, shopping, clothes, entertainment. So you're just going to pick any category. The drop down will be the same in each row, but you'll pick the categories that actually apply to you. And then in each one, you've got these blank lines too at the bottom. That way, in case you have something that's really out there, my cello lessons. It's I'm not going to have that in a drop down for you, but you can write it in. Same with food, children, travel, And then this is where you would select whatever debt you have. So like this was in the credit card. So you got your consumer debt first, your student debt second in the drop downs. And any debt that you are actively still paying back that basically creates a monthly expense for you goes there. And then other. So I did give you 2 other categories that I personally have, miscellaneous and gifts and donations, but you've got plenty of room down here too in case, there was something that maybe didn't fit in any of these categories that you want to account for. So that's kind of the long and short of it. Let's put another expense. Let's do entertainment here. I just want to show you what it looks like in the rest of the spreadsheet. Let's do restaurants and bars. Let's pretend we've got a kid. Why not? Babysitter, cool. Okay, so now we're done. We filled it out. Pretend that we put in all of our categories we spend on. Now, as you'll see on your net worth tab, the accounts that you chose show up under their categories. What you'll do under whose account, you're just going to track whose name is it in. If it's individual checking, it's probably in your name. If it's a joint, it's probably in both of your names. If you're single, every one will be your name and you may not even have to input that. But that way you know who's the account owner. Then you'll fill out the name of the bank. So maybe we've got Chase, maybe we've got Betterment here. And you'll do that for all of your accounts, right? And then you'll scroll down. Your liabilities are in here too. So this is all the debts that you're still paying back, basically. And really what you'll do on this page is you're going to record the balance in each of these accounts every month. So on January 1st, you're going to look at the Chase checking account and say, okay, there's $1,300 in there. Okay, my joint savings has $2,400 in there. Cool. And what's going to happen is it's going to calculate your net worth for you. So you'll put in all the balances of your assets and you'll also fill in the loan balances. So say you've got $12,000 on this student loan. The idea is that you want the assets going up every month and you want the liabilities going down every month. So every single month you pick a day, maybe it's the first of the month, maybe it's the last day of the month, that you're going to enter and track the account balances. Something else I wanted to show you, if you only have a handful of accounts in each section, you don't have to keep all of these rows. So what I like to do is highlight the rows I don't want, right click on them, and then hide the rows. And it'll just make it shorter and more condensed for you. So if this were me, I would go through and I would hide all the rows that don't belong to me. Next is income planning. So not income tracking, but income planning. So this is also done completely differently for 2022. You've got 3 main sections here: salary or base pay. So whether you're a salaried employee or you're freelance, whatever your like base income is, will go here. So I'd put the name or source. Also, another tip once this loads, if you double click on the end of a row like that, it'll expand it to fit. So if you ever see like a cell that just has numbers in it and you're like, why is it just a bunch of like hashtag signs? Double click on the end of the row and it'll expand. Okay, base salary. I'm just gonna fill this out like randomly. Okay, so then it's gonna calculate what your gross monthly income is. There we go. And then you would put, based on your paycheck, your pay stub, especially if you're salaried, but if you're not and you work for yourself, then you can calculate this yourself. What you pay for federal, state, and local taxes, what you pay for health and vision benefits off your pay stub, any contributions you make to your employer-sponsored retirement account, contributions you make to an HSA. Really what we're trying to do here is figure out what your actual take-home pay is. So even if you know your salary and we know the gross monthly amount, we're trying to get to the heart of like, what is the amount that's actually going to hit your checking account every month? That's what we want to get to, right? So depending on how you earn, you're going to be filling out different sections. So maybe you're doing this with another person, you both have full-time jobs, so you would put in both full-time jobs. Maybe you make commission, bonuses, or RSUs as part of your compensation package. So there's space for that here. And then there's also a section for side hustles and rental properties. So if you have rental properties or you're working on the side, you basically have the option to click through and record effectively what you're expecting. And in this section, if you want it to, it'll calculate a tax estimate for you. That way, even though you're going to be taking home likely all of your income through like 1099 work, it'll tell you what your projected take home pay is after you pay your taxes, whether you're actually paying them right now or not. Okay, cool. So that's the income planning sheet. Now, sorry, he's like very much in my way. Let's do income tracking. Okay, so really how this works is that sheet is for estimating. It's for projecting. What do we think we're going to make this year based on the numbers that we know? This sheet is for actually tracking your income over time. So this is the estimated net earnings per month, right? And then for each section, salary or base pay, commission, bonuses, side hustles, rental properties, you've got room for up to 6 paychecks each, where you will actually come in here and say, oh, okay, cool. I got my paycheck from work, and I also got a bonus this month. And I also, did $200 of like driving, Lyft, whatever. Okay. So that's where you're going to track your income. Next, this is a fun sheet. I love this one. This is called recommendations. So this is effectively going to take the numbers that you've already told me, mostly about your income, and it's going to make recommendations for you and kind of serve as like a summary page. So like this is expected to hit your checking account every month. And then we obviously didn't fill out taxes or retirement, but it'll break down how much you're paying for those things here. It'll tell you how much you want to put in your emergency fund if you're still saving that up. Sam, stop. No, he's so bad, I swear. And then it's going to give you recommendations for these big categories. So like all of your housing costs, you probably don't want to exceed $23.33. Transportation, you don't want to exceed $8.33. Saving and investing, you want to save a minimum of $2,500. Living expenses, you want to keep it under $1,666, and then fund money $1,000 or less. So it's giving you some broad parameters here based on the income that we told it we had. And then some of those numbers are ported over into the spending sheet. So remember how we had told the planner that we had rent as an expense, we had entertainment, we put in restaurants and bars. Anything that you selected from those drop downs on that first page are going to show up here. So the way that the spending sheet and the saving and investing sheets work, you're basically setting a plan. In this column, planned monthly spend, what you think you're going to spend, and then you're going to tell it what you actually spent each month. So like on the last day of the month, you'd go in. So like, let's say rent is $1,500. And let's say, I'm just making this up. I'm pulling numbers out of my butt. Let's say entertainment is $500. Okay, cool. So let's say in January, we got a discount. So we spent $1,350. And we also entertainment wise went a little bit overboard. And for restaurants and bars, so I'm basically just like inputting pretend January expenses. Okay, so pause there, right? We're going to move on to saving and investing now, because saving and investing works very similarly. Effectively, what it's going to do is tell you, okay, hey, remember, this is the goal. We want to save at least this much. The amount left over, though, is basically, hey, you told the planner you're going to make this much money and you're going to spend this much money. This is the amount this is now the margin, the projected margin based on the assumptions we've made so far. So you're going to tell it, hey, how much are you going to contribute to these accounts every month? Maybe I'm going to do $1,625 here. I'm going to do $500 here, and maybe I'll do $150 here. Okay, cool. So pretty simple. Again, you can do the hiding to make it shorter and more condensed. Let's say we did 1,500, we did 500, and let's say we had some surprise income and we did 300 instead. Cool. So what you'll notice is that it's calculating how much of your income you've saved. So this is based on the overall the overall income that you're planning for. This is actually based on the actual income that you had in January. So it'll be very accurate month over month to tell you of the income you've actually made so far and the savings you've actually made, the investment contributions, what you've saved. Okay, so this is kind of a cool table. This tells you expected returns. Because I didn't fill out anything in the current balance in the net worth tab for January, it doesn't think there's anything in these accounts right now, but it basically looks at the amount you say you're going to contribute every year, pulled from the numbers that you put up in the actual saving and investing plan. And then you can change the interest rate. So like maybe you want to see what would happen if you got 10% returns. And then you can also change the amount of time, expected value, and it'll tell you in how many years you'll have what. Cool. So that's the meat and potatoes. Now it's time for the fun part. This is the monthly summaries page. So basically every month when you're done filling out your data, come on, please load. Perfect. Every month when you filled out the data, it's going to break down for you where your money went. So for spending, you've got food, you've got living expenses and housing. It tells you what percentages. And then, yeah, if you hover over it, it'll tell you the totals. You can see where you invested, what percentages. And I just love data visualizations. So like this is my jam. And then where your income came from. So like your salary, your commission, your side hustles. It'll tell you total earned, total spent, total saved, your save rate, and then your basically progress towards your goals. So it's going to calculate your income goal, your spending goal, and your saving goal based on what you tell it your plans are. And then every month it'll tell you what percentage of the way you are to hitting 100% basically. And remember, we told the spreadsheet we have $0 in assets. So we've got a very low progress to FI, but that's what it'll do every month. The last tab is the 2022 summary. So the 2022 summary is cool because it's going to tell you for the year how you're doing. So 2022 income, you can see it month over month. You can see kind of the breakdown, the difference between how you're earning every month. This is the total save rate in 2022. Right now, we're at an overall save rate of 51%. And then the overall spending for 2022. So like, even though you want to drill down into each month, as the months go by, you probably will want to say like, okay, overall, how am I doing though? Like for the whole year. And then you've also got this, your total income, your total spent, your total saved, total debt paid. If we had filled out money toward debt, it would have something there, but we didn't. Your overall save rate, the amount of tax advantaged investing you've done versus taxable investing, and then the amount of spending by category and what percentage of your total spending it makes up. So in my mind, what really shines about the 2022 version and what I'm really excited about is obviously these charts. I'm really pumped about the visualizations. I think it's really exciting to be able to see your kind of financial picture overall without having to set all that up yourself. Like really all you have to enter is like what you spent and what you saved, right? And you know, your check, what's hitting your checking account every month. But the other thing I'm excited about is I think this is an easier way as a dashboard to like fill out the entire rest of the thing. Obviously, in each of those tabs, you're filling in some of the numbers still, but I like that this is kind of more of an overall dashboard of like, hey, you just put in everything you've got and then let the planner do the rest. So that is the 2022 Wealth Planner. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm so excited that you're interested or that you've already purchased it. And happy planning. Happy 2022.